In the previous tutorial, I showed you perhaps the simplest way of using the keyword spider and the associated check theme words against top 10 report. That was the simplest way. That's the way I recommend you start using until you're a little bit more familiar with the way things work. What I want to show you now though is I want to go back to the stage where we'd got the keywords in the spider and coming back to the selection process, because I have a different way that I often use which I think is better, and although it has a few more steps, it can actually be a little bit more comprehensive, and I wanted to show you that now. So let's go back to where the spider has just returned the results and we'll see how I use the keyword spider. Okay, that took 2 or 3 minutes, and we've now got theme words, 2-word phrases, 3-word phrases and 4-word phrases. And I can see here that there is possibly a problem with one of the web pages, because if we look at this phrase, for example, we can see that these words have been pushed together, page contents featured. That sometimes happens when you have navigation on a website. It doesn't usually happen though, but if you get that, then that's probably what's happening. We can ignore it. What we want to do here is we want to select some words and phrases that are relevant to our content, and there's no easy way of doing this other than just to go down through the list. For the 4-word phrases and 3-word phrases and 2-word phrases, the most important phrases will be those ones that are absolutely essential to include somewhere on the page. In this case, it's going to be omega-3 fatty acids. But at the same time, we are looking for phrases that contain important words to our topic. If I can find one as an example. Okay, we've got one here, use of fish oil. As a phrase itself, use of fish oil may not be that important to our article, but use and fish oil, or fish and oil, are important words, probably. So I would recommend you select that. It's a complete phrase as well. I wouldn't select anything that isn't a complete phrase. So let's say acid in the brain. Well, that I think should be fatty acid or something like that, or some other type of acid in the brain. So that's not actually a complete phrase that I'm interested in. Risk of breast cancer, that's a good one, because maybe omega-3s help prevent that, and risk of breast cancer would work as a phrase, but also risk and breast cancer would be important terms for our article perhaps, but we're going to check so we're not left in any doubt. We're not going to be guessing these, we're just selecting at the moment the ones we think are important, and then we'll get the software to tell us. But let me just pause it while I go through the rest of these 4-word phrases and see if there's any more. And just to raise your awareness here that I've got a phrase, blood pressure and heart, and then the next one, pressure and heart rate. So I would imagine that that would actually have been a 5-word phrase if it was collected, that would say blood pressure and heart rate. Because blood pressure and heart rate are 2 terms that are probably important, but blood pressure and pressure and heart rate are not important terms, I'm going to leave it, because in my 2-word phrases I'm going to find blood pressure and I'm going to find heart rate, and I can include them there. Okay, I didn't really find any important phrases, so let's go on to 3-word phrases. Polyunsaturated fatty acid, unsaturated fatty acid, polyunsaturated. I've got singular and plural there. I'm going to keep the singular. And essential fatty acid, again singular, plural. I'm going to keep singular. EPA and DHA, those are 2 important phrases. Fish oil supplement, fish oil supplements, again I'm having the singular. DHA and EPA, I don't actually need to include that because I've got EPA and DHA there. Again, I'm going to pause the video while I have a quick look down these, but I'm only really looking for important phrases here. Okay, and once again, I'm sort of skimming over the 3-word phrases. The actual most important ones here are the theme words, individual theme words, and we're going to take a bit of a shotgun approach to those, but I think I'm going to leave it at that for now. Let's go on to the 2-word phrases. Again, I'm going to choose singular. And I'm just going to pause. I should point out here that these numbers down the side represent the number of times these words and phrases appeared in the top 10 as a total. So for example, breast cancer appeared 10 times in total on the top 10 pages. That might have been appeared 8 times in total on the top 10 pages. That might have been 8 times on one page and not on any of the other pages, but this is just an indicator of the importance of words. We will actually get a better idea in a moment when we get through to the next round of tests to see which ones really are the more important ones. And here I'm just selecting a few. I see that there's a few conditions: cardiac death, heart attack, blood pressure, rheumatoid arthritis. I'm selecting these because there's a good chance that omega-3 has been linked to all of these, because these words are appearing, and they're sort of the phrases I'm going to need to pay attention to see whether there's any evidence for it and include them in my content. Okay, and I'll usually go down to this number round about 3 or 4, which we're there now. I've already got heart attacks, so I'm not going to need heart attacks. Carboxylic acid, I'll include that. Cardiovascular health, I've already got that. So I'm going to go on to the theme words now. And if we look down at the bottom here, we see the Spider has 1,658 theme words, 726 two-word, 362 three-word, and 208 four-word. So on this screen, in this table, I've actually got 1,658 words that appear 2 or more times in the top 10. And rather than going through them one by one, which you can certainly do, you can certainly go through and select the ones that you think are important. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of them. And I've now got theme words, 2-word phrases, 3-word phrases, and 4-word phrases selected. I'm going to go over to Create Report and click this button, Add Phrases to Article Theme List. I've got checks under theme words, 2-word, 3-word, and 4-word phrases. If this box is greyed out, the chances are you haven't got an article opened, and you can, at that point, just go straight to Open New Article, create a new article or open it, and then come back and your words will still be there. And then you click on that button, and then those words and phrases are now added to the theme word and the theme phrase box. And down the bottom here now I can see I've got 1,658 theme words and 89 theme phrases. Let me just emphasize this again. Theme words are more important than theme phrases, because theme phrases are made up of those words. And as long as those words are on the page, Google's going to know what the theme of your article is about. If there are any really important theme phrases, then you should include them, like omega-3 fatty acids. That's an important theme word. The name of this oil, of this acid here, that's important. The name of this acid here, that's important. Those are important phrases. But overall, you should be concentrating on the theme words and then just putting the phrases in where it's natural to do so. Okay, so we've got 1,658. That's way too much. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean them. And I'm going to go to the Reports tab, check theme words against top 10, and I'm going to paste in my phrase again and click on OK. And what the tool is now going to do is it's going to go to Google and it's going to check Google for these 1,658 words. And it's going to check the top 10 and it's going to see how many times on the top 10 or how many of the top 10 pages these words appear on. So you're going to get new figures for each of these words. And we can then clear them. So some of these words will only appear on 1 of the top 10 pages. Some of them may appear on 10 of the top 10 pages. And what I will tend to do is then have a quick look and say, okay, I only want to keep those theme words that appear on 8 or more of the top 10 pages, or 7 or more. So you can see here, we can follow the progress, downloading web pages. Again, it just takes a few seconds. Okay, the report's finished and you'll get 2 screens pop up. You'll get this one, which is the article report, and this one, which is the one to help you delete any words that you don't want, that don't appear on enough of the top 10. So we've got the Google position, we've got the URL, we've got a little theme report telling you how well that article is themed for the theme words that we've chosen. And you can see all of these are done really, really well. It's not really a surprise because the theme words and phrases were taken from these articles in the first place, so they should rank pretty well for them. But you can see at the bottom of this, we've got a report where you can see a number, colon, and then a phrase. The number is the number of the top 10 pages it appears on, and then you have the phrase following. So for example, pasteurization only appears on 1 of the top 10 pages. It's not going to be a very important word, is it? If we scroll down to the other end, we're going to see some words that appear on 10 out of 10 of the top 10 pages, and these ones will tend to be more important. However, they can also be small words like these: more, this, have, here, form, also, what. These aren't important words. These are stop words, if you like. They're words that you can add to your ignore list so that the next time you run the Spider, you won't get these words again in your lists, and so that the more you use the ignore list feature, the sharper your Web Content Studio gets and the better adapted it is to only pick out the important words and phrases. But we're going to leave it like this for the moment. We're going to just clean it, and then we're going to go in manually and take out some of them. So I'm going to say automatically delete words that don't appear on at least 8 of the top 10 pages. Click on OK, and you can see now that's been deleted. We can close these screens, and now on my theme words, I've got 173 theme words. What I'm going to do is open it up by clicking on this Add Edit Keywords, and I'm going to just go down quite quickly and delete anything that I don't think is relevant to my article. This is just like a normal text editor, so I can just go down, delete stuff. And you might think it takes a long time, but actually it doesn't. When you get used to this, you can tend to go down these quite quickly. Delete anything. As I said, if you want to put some of these words into your ignore list, then you'll find that they don't appear the next time. Okay, I've got omega there. And above I've got omega-3. I happen to know that omega-6 is an important phrase or theme word, so I'm going to just change that to 6 so I can include it. And keep going down. Oops, acid is important, as is fish. Rate, that could be heart rate, diet, food, high, sign now. Okay, let's just keep going down. Oops, fat's important. Oil is important, dye, EPA, ALA, fit, formation, nutrition is important, privacy, search. I think I've got sources further up. Okay, I'm going to remove sources and instead just have that source. Just scroll down here and keep editing from the bottom. Okay, red is important. If you know the topic, you'd know why. And found there, that source. Okay, source. Right, so I've been through those. It didn't take very long. You saw it in real time. I'm going to click on Update Keywords, and I've now got 39 theme words, which is much more manageable. However, as a final step, what I like to do is go over to the theme phrases and click on the Generate Theme Words button. And what this does is it will then go through each of the words in these phrases that we identified as important, and it will add them to the theme word box if they're not already there. Now, this can dramatically increase the number of theme words, and you've got a couple of choices there. You can see we've gone back up to 133. The two choices you've got, you can go through them manually and just make sure there's no stop words in there that might be causing problems. Or you can go back to this report again and run it again. Oops, that's not, let me have to type it in this time. Omega-3 fatty acids. Go back here, rerun this check theme words against the top 10, and then I can make a decision based on facts. So I will know if a word only appears once, then I know it's not important. But if it appears a few times, then it might be. Okay. And if we scroll down, I can see that there are some words here that only appear on one of the web top 10, some that appear on 2, 3, 4. And what I tend to do on the second run through is I reduce this number down to about 5. In fact, you could even have it down to about 4, but I'm going to leave it on 5 and see where we are. Okay, we've got now 80 theme words, and I'm quite happy with that. It's still quite a lot, and what I like to do is then sort alphabetically and just see if there are any that I can remove. Things like, let's have a look, first, I don't need that. And we've got fat, fats, fatty acids, anything that's duplicated, because one singular, one is plural, I'll just remove the plural version. And fat, that fatty, that's going to be fatty acids. So I'm going to just pause while I have a quick look down these. I want to try and reduce it down to about 50 or 60 maximum. Okay, and I'm quite happy with these words now, so I'm going to just click update, and I'm left with 56, and that's fine. And what I know now is that these 56 words are important on the pages that rank in the top 10 for omega-3 fatty acids. Not only does that give me a great skeleton to work on for my article, but it can also give me ideas for my article. For example, Alzheimer's has been shown to be an important word here. So do omega-3 fatty acids help Alzheimer's patients? Well, that's something I can have a look at. We've also got breast, and we've got cancer, breast cancer, and somewhere further down, let's have a look. We've got heart as well. I can then go and have a look and see, and go and have a look and see whether these are important for my article. Is omega-3 fatty acids important to heart health, to mental health, to Alzheimer's? So they're giving me ideas for articles and for the things I should include in this particular article. I've also got, of course, my theme phrases, which are also going to help give me ideas for not just this article, but for other articles in the series. So I am now at the stage where I am ready to run reports on this. I'm not going to cover that in this tutorial because we've got other tutorials which will do that. So let's have a look at a few of the other features of the Spider. In the previous tutorial, I showed you perhaps the simplest way of using the keyword Spider and the associated check theme words against top 10 report. That was the simplest way. That's the way I recommend you start using until you're a little bit more familiar with the way things work. What I want to show you now, though, is I want to go back to the stage where we'd got the keywords in the Spider and coming back to the selection process, because I have a different way that I often use which I think is better, and although it has a few more steps, it can actually be a little bit more comprehensive, and I wanted to show you that now. So let's go back to where the Spider has just returned the results, and we'll see how I use the keyword Spider.